Spring training is here and the Red Sox are ready to defend their 2013 World Series title. But what are the expectations for this team in 2014? I want to welcome everybody back for a fourth season of This Week in Red. It's been a long winter here in New England and it's finally time to talk baseball, and believe me, it is a relief because it means spring is not far behind. And you know, this Red Sox team coming into the 2014 season, I think they're a very interesting case. Of course, they're coming off that improbable World Series championship last year that absolutely no one expected. And so I was thinking over the winter, what are the real expectations for this Red Sox team this year? And as I look at the team, they lost a key player in Jacoby Ellsbury. They lost Jared Saltalamacchia at a free agency and the Miami Marlins. And so they're going to be depending on, in theory, coming into the season, Jackie Bradley Jr. to be their new center fielder, and Xander Bogaerts to take over full-time at shortstop, as the team chose, so far at least, not to re-sign Stephen Drew, who gave them pretty good production at the position last year, and that means, of course, that Will Middlebrooks will move in full-time at third base. And as I look at this team, after the championship of last year, I think the Red Sox, to me, they've earned a mulligan in 2014. If they don't end up making the playoffs, but have a good season and are able to incorporate Bradley, Bogaerts, and Middlebrooks full-time into their lineup to solidify those three positions for the next 5 to 7 years, then to me, whether the Red Sox are in the playoffs or not, that 2014 will have been deemed a successful season. And I'd add to that Felix Doubront in that starting rotation. With Ryan Dempster going on the retirement list for at least this year, if not maybe longer, that opened up that fifth rotation spot for Doubront's taking. Whether he can hold off some of the young pitchers that have a lot of expectations in camp is a separate story, but for now, we're going to assume that Doubront will be that fifth starter in the rotation. I think he has the potential where the sky's the limit, because his performance in the World Series last year was so great, and John Farrell showed such confidence in Doubront. I think it's going to be a great confidence builder for him this season. I think he's going to have a big year. It may even slide himself all the way up to that number 3 slot in the rotation. As we all know, when Doubront is on, he's got John Lester-like stuff. He just needs to be more consistent. And after last year, I think Doubront is primed for a really successful season, and I think that'll really help the Red Sox in the rotation. And like last year, as far as the Red Sox go this season, will be determined by their pitching and how effective it is. That means the rotation. I would expect Clay Buchholz to finally step it up this year and stay healthy for the whole year, and if he does and shows the ability that he has, I think the Red Sox are going to be fine in the rotation. You can never foresee injuries, so looking at them on paper, the rotation looks good. The bullpen looks very solid with Burke Badenhop imported, along with Edward Mujica, which I think was an excellent signing by Ben Cherington as insurance for 39-year-old Koji Uehara, who had an out-of-this-world season last year, but is 39. So again, as I look at this team coming into the season, I see a team with the potential to be good again, to incorporate some young players in, and that's very important for the future. And so again, if the Sox don't make the playoffs this year, I don't necessarily think it'll be a failure of a season. I think they'll be in contention all season, and I think right there at the end for either the wild card or the division, because I think they're going to be right in the mix with the other teams in the division, despite the fact most of them have improved from last year. But I'm interested to hear from you guys and what you think about the Red Sox and what you see for this season. You know, coming off the World Series, do you think they've earned a mulligan? And what are your expectations for 2014? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends about This Week in Red. And don't forget to check out my blog at BoSoxInjection.com.